Good evening. I'd like to call to order tonight's meeting of the regular meeting of the Mayor and Board of Trustees for the Village of Burr Ridge. It is February 9th. Thank you for joining us tonight. First order of business is, of course, the call to order and then a Pledge of Allegiance. And tonight we are going to be led by a student from St. Isaac Jogues School, which happens to be the parish that I belong to, so this is a real pleasure to have her here tonight. And I've known her dad for quite a while. Her name is Mary McGuigan, and she is a third grade student at St. Isaac Jogues. Her favorite subjects are science and social studies. She plays basketball for Jody Harrison at the Community House. She plays tennis at Hinsdale Racquet Club. That's a great club. And she's also in the school choir, and she plays the piano. Her parents are Tom and Colleen, who's joined here tonight by her dad. And also she has 3 siblings. So Mary, would you please, Mary Claire, would you please come join us tonight and lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, and one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mary Claire. And Karen, may I have roll call, please?
Trustee Francis.
Here.
Trustee Grasso.
Here.
Trustee Pavesa.
Here.
Trustee Bolas.
Here.
Trustee Ruzak.
Here.
Trustee Maneri. Mayor Straub.
Here. And now for the audience portion. Are there any members, any residents from the audience that would like to address the board at this time? Okay, and Dolores?
Good evening. My name is Dolores Ciesick, former trustee, presently in LaGrange. I have 3 items I'd like to address the board about. First of all, I'm sure some of you have noticed that there are many elections in which there are numerous candidates. College of DuPage has 13 candidates for 3 positions. Chicago has 5 candidates for mayor, and this village has 7 candidates for 3 positions. What I'm suggesting is that this village has not had a candidates night since 1997. That's 18 years ago, and I think that this village should press for that. The residents should have an opportunity to question the candidates and take their measure, and also the candidates should have the opportunity of presenting their position. The village used to have a League of Women Voters, of which I was a founding member along with Janet Pesci, Dana Ringwald, but eventually that got disbanded. However, there is a League of Women Voters for Hinsdale Oakbrook, and I think that they could be asked to sponsor a candidates night. And I think it's incumbent upon the board to take that action. It seems to me that the residents deserve no less than to see and discuss who's running. Number 2, for 10 years, I have been irritated by the fact that the head CEO of the village wants to be called mayor. This started back in 2005 when Gary Grasso was elected village president. Now, I'd like to read you an excerpt from the Illinois Municipal Handbook. All municipalities operate under either an aldermanic city or a trustee village form. The president is the CEO of the village. The mayor is the CEO of the city. In villages, 6 trustees form the legislative body. The trustees are generally elected from the village at large, the village president and clerk. I underline, village president and clerk are elected at large. This is under a village form. I would like to see the village go back to that. The present CEO is mayor in name only, as was Grasso. Number 3, as reported in the doings on January 15th, the village president made, without any advice or consent of the village board, made an appointment to the police pension board. I'm quoting again from the Illinois Municipal Handbook on page 4. Appointments to all non-elective offices, unless otherwise specifically provided by statute, are made by the president with the advice and consent of the village board. No, it says of the board of trustees. Now, Mr. Straub's position is that he had to go ahead and make this appointment because the police pension board was meeting on January 6th, which would have been before the January 12th meeting. However, the contentious board meeting was November 10th, and shortly thereafter, Mr. Scanlon withdrew his nomination. There were 2 meetings, November 24th and December 8th, before the police pension board would be meeting on January 6th. So there is no reason why that nomination could not have been brought before the Board of Trustees for their advice and consent. Thank you. I will give the trustees a copy of this material after the meeting.
Okay, Dolores, thank you very much. Appreciate it. We're going to move on to the consent agenda. The omnibus vote. All items listed with an asterisk are considered routine by the village board and will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a board member or citizen so requests, in which event the item will be removed from the consent agenda. Under minutes, 5A, approval of regular board meeting of January 26, 2015. Minutes, 5B, receive and file Veterans Memorial Committee meeting of October 29, 2014. 5C, receive and file draft Water Committee meeting of January 26, 2015. Under ordinances, we have ordinances 6B, approval of ordinance amending section 25.09 hours of chapter 25 liquor control of the Burr Ridge Municipal Code. 6C, approval of an ordinance amending the zoning ordinance to add business vocational school to the list of special uses in the O2 district, Z13 2014 text amendment, business vocational school. 6D, approval of an ordinance granting a special use pursuant to the Burr Ridge zoning ordinance to permit a business vocational school in the O2 district, Z13 2014, located 1333 Burr Ridge Parkway, Insight Real Estate. 6E, approval of an ordinance granting a variation from 11C13 of the zoning ordinance for reduction in parking for a vocational school and office building, Z-13-2014, located at 1333 Burr Ridge Parkway, Insight Real Estate. 6F, approval of an ordinance granting a special use pursuant to the Burr Ridge zoning ordinance and the Burr Ridge Village Center PUD to allow a restaurant with sales of alcoholic beverages and outdoor dining, Z-03-2015, located at 505 Village Center Drive, 6 Stone. And 6G.
Remove.
Moved. Resolution. Resolutions, adoption of resolution authorizing the village to enter into a contract for the purchase of electricity for the lowest cost electricity provider for the purposes of water pumping. Considerations. 8A, approval of requests from Pauline Ozels of Run for Veterans to conduct a 5K run walk fundraiser on Sunday, July 26, 2015 and for the village to sponsor the event. 8B, receive and file resignation letter of alternate plan commissioner Prashant Sheth. 8C, receive and file resignation letter of general utility worker Jake Svenser. 8D, receive and file resignation letter of general utility worker David Powers. 8E, approval recommendation to authorize the Public Works Director to fill the vacancy in the Water and Wastewater Division created by the resignation of GW once again, Jake Spencer. Approval recommendation to authorize the Public Works Director to file the vacancy in the Water Use and Wastewater Division created by the resignation of David Powers. 8G, approval of vendor list in the amount of $128,135.64 for all funds, plus $242,444.20 for payroll, for a grand total of $370,579.84, which includes a special expenditure of $15,084 to Image Systems and Business Solutions for the Village Hall copier. May I have a motion to approve the following items on the consent agenda: 5A, 5B, 5C, 6B, 6C, 6D, 6E, and 6F. Resolutions: 7A, considerations: 8A, 8B, 8C, 8D, 8E, 8F, and 8G. Have a motion?
So moved. Second.
Roll call, please.
Trustee Ruzak.
Yes.
Trustee Grasso.
Yes.
Trustee Pavesa.
Yes.
Trustee Bolus.
Yes.
Trustee Francis.
Yes.
5-0.
Motion passes 5-0. Item for discussion, ordinances. 6A, consideration of ordinance amending section 58.01 of chapter 58 Water Works System of the Burr Ridge Municipal Code. Discussion. Presentation.
Good evening. This is the water rate adjustment that comes up every year after Chicago adjusts their rate. I do have a very brief presentation that the Water Committee asked me to make this evening, just in order to, it's 4 up from where you're at. To provide some background as to the village's system, how it operates, and how the rate is structured. The map that you see before you is the water system, the Chicagoland water system. Most of Chicagoland is on Lake Michigan water, and that's been something that's come around in the last 20 years. Prior to 1998, the village of Burr Ridge was on a well system. We still have a couple neighbors that are on well systems. Western Springs is still on a well system. However, we had, for those people that remember living in town at the time, there were water quality issues and water quantity issues with that system. So the village at that time made the decision to construct a transmission main to acquire Lake Michigan water from the city of Chicago through Bedford Park. And the yellow section, you can see it says Bedford Park down at the bottom. This is Burr Ridge here. This is Bedford Park. And so the village has a transmission main that goes from Burr Ridge to Bedford Park, whereby we acquire Lake Michigan water through Chicago. Bedford Park also serves that other yellow area in the southwest section. The blue area is directly on the city of Chicago water. The brown area that's generally DuPage County is the DuPage Water Commission. And the village of Burr Ridge preceded the DuPage Water Commission by a few years. And so the transmission main was constructed in 1996 to 1998. That was a 4-mile main, as I mentioned. And we also constructed a 2 million gallon water tower at that time and made some pump station improvements. After that time, we were on Lake Michigan water. Our system generally, the water system that's in place in Burr Ridge itself, that serves our residents, we do some treatment, we chlorinate the water, and of course we test the water at the pump station, and we generate pumpage throughout the village in the amount of 700 million gallons per year. The system consists of about 95 miles of water main, 2 water towers. We have 4,200 counts, 1,200 valves, and 1,300 hydrants in the system. The depreciated value of the system is about $64 million, That's a bit misrepresentative because that's a accounting value. The replacement cost is probably well over $150 million. But this gives you a kind of a handle on where Chicagoland gets our water from and where the Village of Burr Ridge gets our water from. Next, we come to the financial breakdown for our system. As you can see, in both revenues and expenditures, since we're a purchased water system, water truly is a commodity. We buy it from a wholesaler and we retail it to the consumer. So as you would expect then, the largest amount of both revenue and expenditures is the commodity itself. That's the purchase of the water from Bedford Park through Chicago. That accounts for 88% of the revenue and 61% of the expenditures. The remaining 39% of the expenditures is the result of operations, which is personnel, equipment, capital improvements, fleet services, power. Power is a big element for pumping, and system maintenance. In FY 15-16, which is approaching, we expect we've a balanced budget of about $5 million on both the revenue and the expenditure side. If you could go to the next slide, Steve. This chart shows the composition of our rate. As we mentioned, there's 3 parties involved in assembling the rate to Burr Ridge residents. Chicago has the lion's share of the cost. You can see that this chart goes from 2008 on the left-hand side to 2015 on the right-hand side. Chicago has escalated their rate quite a bit, 90% over the last 5 years. And you can see their impact on the rate. Bedford Park and Burr Ridge have both generally held a fairly stable margin. And you can see the impact that those 2 adjustments have, as well as the 2015 counting in the top. So this year, the increase from Bedford Park is 68 cents per 1,000 gallons. The Water Committee is recommending passing on only the cost of the commodity increase, so not the percentage increase, which is 15% from Bedford Park, but the cost of the commodity, which makes the increase for Burr Ridge's rate 11.8. Just the cost of the commodity, so we're passing along only the additional cost that it costs us to buy that water on behalf of the residents. And so this is the composition of the rate historically. Chicago has, per their direction to us, concluded their last year of the drastic rate increase where they increased 25% the first year, followed by 15% each of the following 4 years. And they have told us that it will be tied to CPI from here forward. And we will see if that holds true. If you could go to the next slide, please, Steve. This is a chart of our cohort like communities. So these are all communities that are on a purchased water system. So it's either Bedford Park communities or DuPage Water Commission communities, and what their cost would be for a 10,000 gallon per month consumption. And you can see there's a wide variation here. A lot of it has to do with the age of a system. And you'll notice if you look at the most expensive communities, those are communities that have systems that are more established and are requiring replacement. And so those communities have to address that, and that results in capital costs that are much larger than it would be for a town with a newer system. We're very, very far towards the lowest cost among our cohort here. The average cost, and this is 2013 data, by the way, but the average cost in 2013 per 1,000 gallons, 10,000 gallons, was $68.55. In 2013, Burr Ridge's cost was $50.34, with some of the higher costs coming in well over $100. And so we expect to hold our place in line at this point, possibly be moving down because DuPage Water Commission, for the communities that are on DuPage Water Commission, which is most of these, have had more severe increases than Bedford Park has. And so the Water Committee is recommending for the board to make an adjustment to this year to the water rate in the amount of 68 cents per 1,000 gallons to the Burr Ridge rate structure, which would take effect after passing the ordinance. If there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Questions of Paul? Hearing none. Steve, anything else?
No, the Water Committee's made a recommendation order increase as outlined.
Okay. And do I have a motion to approve? All right. 6A, consideration of ordinance amending 5801 of Chapter 58 Waterworks System of the Burr Ridge Municipal Code.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Karen, may I have roll call, please?
Trustee Pavesa?
Yes.
Trustee Francis?
Yes.
Trustee Grasso? Yes. Trustee Bolus?
Yes.
Trustee Ruzek?
Yes.
5-0.
Motion passes 5-0. Under consideration, I'm sorry, under ordinances, let's see, approval 8G, I'm sorry, 6G, approval of ordinance amending Chapter 3, Article 5, Section 5.1, 5.4, and 5.5 of Village of Burr Ridge Municipal Code relating to the Pathway Commission. Diane?
I believe the intent of the Plan Commission, their discussion, was just to change the quorum to have a majority of the commissioners, not to change the number of commissioners on the pathway. And the pathway has asked that we remove this and table it until such a time that someone from the Pathway Commission can be in attendance.
Actually, thank you for catching that. I spoke with the chairman of that commission this afternoon, and she did request for it to be tabled until future discussion. Could it really, I'd be happy to do so because she's going to consider that and also looking for some potential people to join the commission. But would you like to discuss the, is there an option as far as Robert's rules to allow a smaller quorum even though there's a requirement of a...
You can amend Robert's rules to decide if that's what you want to do. I think my recommendation would be if you want 3 people to be the quorum, you should have a 5-person committee. If you want a 7-person committee, you should have 4. I think the concern of the Pathway Commission is they haven't had 7 members for many years. And it's harder and harder for them to get a quorum, especially in the wintertime when a lot of them are away. So, it's really up to the board to decide, how they want to proceed.
I really don't think we need to make any decisions about that right now until we give the Pathway Commission a time to speak.
Oh, good idea. And I just thought I'd open it for discussion, and we'll table it for a future meeting. Okay?
We need a motion to table.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call?
Trustee Francis?
Yes.
Trustee Bolus?
Yes.
Trustee Ruzek?
Yes.
Trustee Grasso?
Yes.
Trustee Pavesa?
Yes.
5-0.
Okay. Other considerations for announcement, deliberation, and/or discussion? No official action will be taken. Any other items?
Well, I should say that this ongoing debate about whether the elected president of the village may be called mayor has been an ongoing problem, as Dolores says, for the last 10 years. And I do recall that a item that you quote frequently, if you read on another few words, it says the elected official may be called or shall be called president, and then it continues, or mayor if so desires. So it may be a different chapter, a different paragraph than you quoted today, but I think this should
we don't
sort of
argue
be
this,
tabled. Yeah.
You're not,
In the same chapter, it says,
Dolores,
The
you're not
president-
recognized.
I beg your
You're
pardon?
not recognized right now. Let Trustee Grasso finish.
It's not a debate. It's not a
It's not a
debate.
debate.
Just my comment.
The chair does not recognize you.
I'll wait till the audience portion.
It's already over.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, and by the way, that's also my understanding. We went to the state statute, and it is a choice. I'd like the village to look forward instead of backward, and it would be. I understand that you wanting to hold on to the past, but I really I prefer to move forward, and keep with we already had the village attorney look at it. This is not it shouldn't even be a debate.
And
But
if
it's
the next
certainly-
person elected wants to be called
They have the
president
option,
of
the
the village,
CEO
they
has
need to
that
be called
option.
president of
So
the village.
that's a legal decision, and was decided before I took office, so. Okay. Any other discussion, any other items for announcement, deliberation? There is one thing I want to bring up, but I'll wait until the number, under item 10, regarding a little bit of a concern that I have about something to the south that I want to ask everybody if they heard anything about. So, in any case, the audience portion, are there any members of the audience that'd like to address the audience or the board?
On page 10 of the Illinois Municipal Handbook, it states, the mayor is the CEO of the city, and the president is the CEO of the village. The president may, however, be referred to as mayor, but he is not legally a mayor. All you have to do is look at the minutes, and when there's a motion to adjourn, it is signed by the president and board of trustees. It does not say mayor. The aldermanic city, then you have a mayor. When it's a village and a board of trustees, it is a village president. And all that this does, what your husband wanted to do, he felt that being referred to as mayor made it sound more important than being village president.
No, it's quite the reverse.
I had two things. One has to do with wanted to commend the village on the relatively low water rates, which I think is really good. My question is, though, is there a reasonable contingency or maintenance fund or replacement fund that those rates would also help generate? And would there ever be the case where we've had to dip into other funds in order to maintain our water system than just using the funds that would be collected?
That's, I mean, there is a surplus in the water fund. And those dollars are usually used for improvements or repairs to the system. To answer your question, have we been setting aside specific dollars for specific needs, such as the replacement of water mains, replacement of the water towers and so forth? The answer is no, we have not.
The other question that I had was, I guess I was under the false impression that that maybe tonight, at the end of this meeting, you were actually going to have a fiscal planning session. Is that something?
It's after this meeting's over, there'll be another meeting.
It's a goal-setting workshop, fiscal planning session right after this meeting.
And that's open to the public also?
Correct.
Okay, great. So I'll save my comments for that then.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, anyone else? Okay, under reports and communications from village officials,
I do have something, but you said you had something regarding.
I do, but go ahead.
No, go ahead.
After you.
Okay. Steve, at our last meeting, we went into closed session regarding probable imminent and litigation, correct?
Correct.
And those meeting minutes are not released until the board so releases them?
Correct.
So I do have some concern why, Mickey, in your last Friday wrap, you chose to discuss that and violate closed session protocol.
Question, yep. Yeah, I was unaware of that any type of limitation, but I apologize. If not, I'll definitely check with protocol and see what that is, so.
I think you definitely should, because that is a concern. We can't keep violating closed session protocol. And maybe we need to put some parameters around the Friday wrap so that things like this don't happen again.
Oh, yeah, and certainly I've been trying to, so thank you. Anything else?
No, I just want to make sure you know that you're not representing the village in those wraps, and you do present yourself as representing the village, so.
Certainly, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, well, thank you very much for that. Actually, what I was going to ask about.
Hey, we got one more.
I'm sorry?
Are we at risk with disclosing
discussions and topics that are discussed in closed session, do we risk those being disclosed in a public venue on social media?
Actually, I don't know, but we can check into that. There were no names associated with
I
it.
didn't watch it. I didn't look at the transcript, but
Yeah, there were no
Steve Bowles
names.
raises an important consideration.
And was it discussed at the Plan Commission?
No, no. Also, a board action was discussed in that.
Yeah, it was left anonymous, just a point of information more than anything else. So.
I have a serious concern about that. Serious concern.
Okay. Anything else? Okay. Thank you very much. The last thing I'd like to point out, so I heard late last night there was a concrete crushing company looking to build just outside of the Burr Ridge property, right along the Cal-Sag Channel. And I understand that the village, I was told that the village of Willow Springs is against it. It's actually something to do with the county, and through Lamont. I don't know if has anybody else heard of that?
No.
Yeah, the
Cook or DuPage County?
pardon me?
Cook or DuPage County?
That's a good question. Right across the Cal-Sag, is that Cook or is that Will?
Still Cook County.
I think it's Cook. And it's on the other side of the canal?
Yes, actually, it's proposed, and I understand. I heard that again, secondhand, that the village of Willow Springs is against it. And I'm on the impression it would be noise making when it would concern our village. I just want to know if anybody else heard about that.
South of the river, south of the canal. Right. That's pretty far away.
Yeah, well, noise travels. So, but if I look into that.
Well, yeah, we could certainly look into it.
Yeah.
Make a motion to
Okay.
adjourn.
Second.
Roll call.
Trustee Pavesa? Trustee Grasso?
Yes.
Trustee Francis?
Yes.
Trustee Bolus?
Yes.
Trustee Rozak?
Yes.
Okay, thank you for joining us tonight.
Thank you,
Meeting
Doris.
is officially adjourned.